I never imagined that a simple test could reveal a secret so dark, it would shatter the life I thought I knew, and destroy the man I once loved. But that's exactly what happened. The day he demanded a DNA test for our baby. My name is Alina Farah, and I had always believed I was living a fairy tale. At 27, I was independent, ambitious, and had just entered one of the happiest chapters of my life, pregnancy. The kind of joy that makes your heart race for no reason, that makes every morning feel brighter, and every little flutter of life inside you feel like a secret miracle. When I first met Ryan, my husband, I was captivated by him. Handsome, charming, and endlessly confident. He had this magnetic pull that made you forget everything else. A smile that seemed to promise the world, and a presence that could fill a room. People admired him, sometimes too much, but I believed I saw through the surface. I believed I knew the man behind the charisma. Or so I thought. For months, life was perfect. Ryan and I would talk endlessly about our future. Decks for meetings that never existed. Small accusations disguised as concern. And then came the day that would forever change everything. It started innocently enough, or so I thought. We were sitting in our apartment, the soft hum of the city outside our window. Ryan fiddling with his phone as he always did. I remember the way the sunlight fell on his face that morning, making his hair glow like copper. It should have been a perfect scene, but the tension in the air was undeniable. "I think we should do a DNA test for the baby," he said suddenly, without preamble. I froze. My mind immediately raced through possibilities. Was he joking? Concerned? Or was it suspicion that I didn't even know existed? A DNA test? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm, though inside a storm was brewing. "Ryan, why would we? We've been together for years. We've shared everything. This is..." He cut me off with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. A practiced charm I suddenly realized I barely recognized. "Alina, it's just to be sure. I want to be certain. For the baby. Don't take it personally." His words should have comforted me, but instead a cold shiver ran down my spine. There was something in the way he said it, the insistence behind his tone, that felt wrong. Suspicion had crept into our lives, and now it was staring me straight in the face. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to trust him. But a tiny voice in the back of my mind whispered that this was the beginning of a nightmare I couldn't yet see. I am not the type of person who panics easily. I pride myself on composure, on thinking logically, even under pressure. But at that moment, as I sat across from the man I loved, my heart racing, my hands trembling slightly, I realized something crucial. I was standing at the edge of a cliff, and I had no idea how deep the fall would be. Alina Farah. That's the name I always thought would stand for strength, for clarity, for love. But in that moment, my name felt like a fragile shield, barely holding back the storm that Ryan had just unleashed with 4 simple words. DNA test for our baby. I should explain who I am fully, because understanding me is essential to understanding the gravity of what happened next. I'm someone who has always believed in honesty above all else. I grew up in a home where secrets were whispered behind closed doors, where lies could fracture trust beyond repair. That upbringing made me fiercely loyal, but also painfully aware of human deceit. I value truth, even when it hurts, because I've learned that half-truths and lies can destroy everything beautiful in a heartbeat. Pregnancy had changed me, yes, but it hadn't weakened me. I was still sharp, still perceptive, still deeply attuned to the subtle shifts in people's behavior. And that day, I noticed everything. The twitch in his hand, the hesitation before he spoke, the way his eyes flickered ever so slightly when he expected me to accept his request without question. It was all there, hidden in plain sight. I remember that morning as if it were etched in my mind forever. The air smelled faintly of jasmine from the flowers I placed by the window, sunlight spilling onto the wooden floorboards, a gentle warmth that mocked the... And that's when the first seed of doubt planted itself firmly in my heart. What could possibly be so important that he would demand something like this? Was it insecurity, paranoia, or had he suspected something all along that I had never imagined? I didn't argue further that day. I smiled, nodded, and said I'd go along with it, because I wanted peace, because I wanted to believe in love. But deep down, a storm was brewing. A storm that would reveal secrets, betrayals, and truths so devastating that our lives, and the life of our unborn child, would never be the same again. Little did I know, that DNA test wouldn't just determine who our baby's father was. It would determine the fate of our relationship, unravel the carefully constructed life we had built, and expose Ryan in ways he never expected. And it all started that morning with 4 words whispered across a sunlit room. "We need a DNA test." I leaned back in my chair, heart racing, pretending calm. But inside, I felt an electric surge of fear, curiosity, and determination. Whatever was coming, I was ready. Or at least, I thought I was. The days after Ryan demanded the DNA test were unbearable. I felt like I was walking through a haze, a world where everything familiar suddenly seemed distorted. Every smile and word weighted with hidden meaning. I tried to go about my normal routine work, preparing the nursery, calling friends, but each moment was shadowed by the gnawing uncertainty that Ryan had planted in my life. I noticed the little things first. The way he would glance at his phone and immediately hide the screen when I entered the room. The subtle tension in his voice whenever he spoke to me. The way he would ask repeatedly who I was texting, what I was doing, even how long I'd been on a call. At first, I brushed it off as paranoia. But over time, his behavior became controlling, suffocating, almost obsessive. I tried to talk to him about it once. "Ryan, this is too much," I said one evening, standing by the kitchen counter while he leaned lazily against the fridge, scrolling through his phone. "I'm not doing anything wrong. I've never given you a reason to doubt me. Why can't we just trust each other?" He looked up, and for a moment I thought I saw a flicker of guilt, or was it fear, in his eyes. Then he smiled, that practiced smile of his, charming, disarming, but empty. "Alina," he said, voice soft but firm, "I just want to be sure. For our baby. That's all. You know I love you, right?" I nodded, trying to convince myself. But something in his tone didn't ring true. I realized then that this wasn't about love. This was about control. Around this time, my best friend Sonia began noticing the change too. Sonia had been with me through every heartbreak, every triumph, and every embarrassing moment of my life. She was perceptive, blunt, and fearless. Everything I admired but sometimes envied. One evening, we met at our favorite little cafe. The one with the mismatched chairs and the smell of fresh coffee lingering in the air. I tried to put on a brave face, but Sonia saw right through me. "You're not okay, Alina," she said, sliding her coffee across the table to me. "What's going on? You've been jumpy, distracted, something's wrong." I hesitated. How could I explain it without sounding paranoid? "It's Ryan," I whispered finally, glancing around. "He asked for a DNA test for the baby. I can't explain it. I don't know what's happening." Sonia's eyes widened. "A DNA test? For the baby? That's insane. Why would he even think that? That's not love, that's control, Alina. You need to be careful." Her words hit me harder than I expected. Control. Yes, that's exactly what it felt like. A slow, creeping control that started with subtle comments, small demands, and escalated to an invasive test. She urged me to trust my instincts, to watch his behavior carefully, and to not let fear paralyze me. Meanwhile, my family noticed changes too. My mother, ever intuitive, asked if everything was okay between us. My sister dropped hints, worried glances, as though sensing something I couldn't yet articulate. The tension at home became a constant undercurrent, a silent storm brewing beneath our otherwise perfect life. And then came the small incidents, the ones that were minor on the surface but screamed warning. A text I saw on his phone from an unknown contact, quickly deleted. A lie about a business trip that didn't exist. A late-night meeting he couldn't or wouldn't explain. Every small betrayal added weight to my unease. Yet, despite all this, I kept smiling, kept pretending. Friends visited, my baby's nursery slowly came to life, and Ryan's charming exterior remained largely intact. But inside, I felt a growing resolve, a spark that refused to die. I would not allow myself or my child to be trapped in a cage of suspicion and lies. I started noticing more patterns, subtle things that painted a picture I didn't want to see. Ryan's charm was a mask. His concern about the baby wasn't about love. It was about power, about having proof that he could assert dominance even in the most intimate aspect of our lives. And now the DNA test loomed over us like a shadow, a ticking time bomb that would expose more than just paternity. Sonia stayed by my side through it all, her presence a lifeline in a world that suddenly felt uncertain. She reminded me that I wasn't alone, that I had the right to protect myself and my unborn child. and that whatever the results of the DNA test, I needed to stay grounded, rational, and strong. And yet every night I lay awake, heart racing, mind spinning with what ifs. What if he truly suspected something? What if the results of the test confirmed a fear I didn't even know existed? What if the man I loved, the man I trusted completely, was capable of betrayal I couldn't yet see? I didn't have the answers, but I had a sense, a growing certainty that my life was about to change forever. And deep down, a tiny voice whispered, the DNA test wouldn't just reveal the truth about the baby. It would reveal the truth about Ryan. And that truth would ruin him. For now I could only wait, watch, and prepare. Wait for the test. Watch his every move. And prepare for the storm I sensed building on the horizon. A storm I knew I couldn't escape. Because the DNA test wasn't just a test. It was the beginning of the end. The morning of the DNA test felt unreal. Like I was walking into someone else's life, someone else's story. The city outside the hospital windows bustled as usual, but inside time seemed to slow. Every step I took down the sterile white hallways echoed in my ears. My stomach twisted in nervous knots, every flutter of life inside me a reminder that this wasn't just about me. It was about my baby. Ryan was quiet that day, unusually so. His usual charm was replaced by a tense rigidity, a tight-lipped seriousness that made the air between us heavy. He didn't speak much in the car, just glanced at me occasionally, his eyes cold and calculating. I caught myself staring at him, trying to read his expression, but it was unreadable. Like a mask that concealed a storm I couldn't yet see. When we entered the lab, the smell of antiseptic hit me like a wall. White walls, buzzing fluorescent lights, the faint hum of machines. It all felt surreal. Nurses moved briskly, clipboard in hand, checking details, reminding patients of procedures. One nurse gave me a reassuring smile, and I returned it, though my heart was hammering. Alina Farah, she called. Yes, I whispered, trying to steady my voice. You'll be in room 3. Just follow me. I took a deep breath, forcing calm over the panic that threatened to rise. Ryan lingered behind, his hands clasped tightly, knuckles white. There was a brief moment where I thought he might speak, but he didn't. Not yet. And perhaps that silence was worse than words. The nurse led me into the small room, where a table and a few chairs sat under the harsh lighting. The technician explained the procedure, simple, painless, but I could barely focus. My mind raced. Why now? Why this test? Does he already suspect something? As the swab was taken from my cheek, my thoughts wandered to the months leading up to this moment. The late-night doubts, the whispered accusations, the controlling behavior I had tried to ignore. It all culminated here, in this small, sterile room. Ryan stood by the doorway watching, his posture stiff, his could anchor me. But every thought spiraled back to the question. What would the results reveal? Ryan finally spoke, his voice low, almost dangerous in its calmness. Don't worry, he said, but there was no warmth in it. It'll all be fine. One way or another, we'll know the truth. I swallowed hard. The truth. That word echoed in my head, heavy and foreboding. I wanted to believe him, to take comfort in his words, but the warning bells I'd ignored for months were now screaming. The rest of the day passed in a blur. We left the hospital without speaking much, the city moving around us like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I felt the weight of anticipation pressing down on me, an invisible hand squeezing my chest. Every glance from Ryan, every passing stranger, every honk of a car horn made my heart jump. I tried to talk to Sonia later that evening, seeking some solace, some grounding. She held my hand and said softly, Alina, whatever happens, stay strong. Don't let him intimidate you. You have the right to protect yourself. And your baby. Her words were comforting, but they didn't erase the dread building inside me. I couldn't shake the feeling that this test would change everything, that it wasn't just about biology, but about truth, power, and the mask Ryan had been wearing all along. And as I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I realized something chilling. The DNA test wouldn't just reveal who the father was. It would reveal who Ryan really was, and I wasn't sure I wanted to know until I had no choice. Because in just a few days the results would arrive. And whatever they said, nothing would ever be the same again. The day the DNA results arrived, I knew my life would change forever. I could feel it in my bones, an unshakable tension that made every sound sharper, every shadow heavier. The envelope sat on the kitchen counter, plain and white, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths. Ryan hadn't touched it, though I could see the way his eyes lingered on it, like a predator sizing up his prey. I took a deep breath, my hands trembling slightly as I picked it up. Sonia had called earlier, sensing my anxiety, and had told me to stay calm, to breathe, to remember that no matter what, I had control over how I reacted. But control felt fragile, like a thin glass ready to shatter. "Are you ready?" Ryan asked from across the room, leaning against the counter, trying to hide the eagerness, or was it fear in his eyes? I swallowed hard. I guess we have to know." He nodded, and for a brief moment, the room was silent except for the faint ticking of the clock. I could feel the air around us charged, heavy with anticipation, with fear, with something that neither of us could name. I slid the paper open. My heart raced so fast I thought it might burst. I read the first few lines, scanning numbers and percentages, until finally, the word struck me like a physical blow. The baby was not his. Time froze. Ryan's smug, confident expression faltered first, then disappeared entirely, replaced by confusion, disbelief, and then anger. I watched as the mask he had worn for months crumbled, revealing a side of him I had never fully seen. The arrogance, the control, the charm. It all vanished in a heartbeat. "No, this can't be right," he said, his voice shaky, though he tried to make it sound firm. "There must be some mistake. This is impossible. I don't believe it." I looked at him, my own shock mingled with a strange sense of calm. I had expected denial, maybe even anger, but the intensity of it surprised me. For the first time I truly saw him. The man I had loved, the man I had trusted, was not the person I thought he was. He had built a world around control and suspicion, and now that world was crumbling in his hands. "I read it," I said softly, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "It's not a mistake. The baby isn't yours." His reaction was almost cinematic, like something out of a drama I didn't expect to live. His face turned red, his jaw clenched, and his eyes darted around the room as if looking for a way out, a scapegoat, anything to escape the truth. "You're lying," he shouted suddenly, throwing the results onto the counter. Papers scattered like autumn leaves. "This is fake. Someone must have switched it." "I don't believe you." I took a step closer, my hands shaking slightly, but my resolve unwavering. "Ryan, I'm not lying. The test is clear. The truth is undeniable. And I'm done pretending that your control and suspicion are acceptable." He froze, his eyes wide, searching mine for any hint of doubt, but there was none. Only the calm, unshakable strength of someone who had finally seen the truth and refused to be manipulated. And then came the quiet, the heavy silence that follows a storm. He slumped into a chair, muttering under his breath, trying to reconcile his arrogance with reality. His carefully constructed world of charm, control, and dominance had collapsed, and I could see the fear creeping in, the fear of exposure, of embarrassment, of loss. For me, the emotions were mixed. Shock, yes. Anger, yes. Relief, strange as it felt, yes. Relief that the truth was finally out, that the lies could no longer hide behind charm and manipulation. But most of all, a spark of empowerment began to burn. I realized that while this revelation was devastating in its own way, it was also a key to freedom, clarity, and the chance to protect myself and my child. Sonia arrived soon after, her expression a mixture of concern and quiet triumph. She had sensed the storm long before I had, and now she helped me see it fully. "Alina," she said, taking my hand, "this is terrible, yes? But now you see him clearly. You know what you're dealing with, and you can protect yourself and your baby from this." I nodded, feeling a strange mix of sorrow and determination. Ryan may have tried to control everything, to dictate reality according to his desires, but he had failed. The DNA test had revealed the truth, not just about the baby but about him. And truth, I realized, was more powerful than charm, lies, or manipulation. I glanced at him one last time that evening. He looked small, almost defeated, the bravado completely gone. The man I had once admired was unmasked, and I could see clearly that he had no control over me anymore. The baby growing inside me was innocent, unaware of the chaos surrounding them, yet they represented hope, love, and a future untainted by lies. And as I held the results in my hand, I felt something powerful awaken inside me. A resolve to stand tall, to protect my child, and to confront the consequences of truth, whatever they may be. Because from this day forward, nothing would ever be the same. Ryan had demanded the DNA test, thinking he could assert control and confirm his suspicions, but the truth had other plans. And in exposing him, it had given me a power I had never known before. A power to reclaim my life, my love, and my future. The revelation was shocking. The aftermath would be dramatic. And the story was far from over. The moment I decided to confront Ryan, I knew there was no turning back. The DNA test had revealed the truth, and I couldn't allow him to twist it, deny it, or manipulate it any longer. That evening, I waited until the apartment was quiet, the soft hum of the city outside our window the only sound. I could feel my heart pounding, but this time it wasn't fear. It was determination. I found him in the living room, pacing. The scattered papers from the DNA results still lay on the floor, a silent reminder of the collapse of his carefully controlled world. His face was tense, jaw clenched, and eyes darting like he was calculating his next move. "Ryan," I said firmly, my voice steady, yet carrying the weight of everything that had happened. "We need to talk. Now." He froze, then turned slowly, masking panic with a thin veneer of arrogance. "Alina, can we not do this tonight?" he said, trying to sound casual. "We've both had a long day." I stepped closer, my chest rising with controlled breaths. "No. Tonight. There is no long day. There is only the truth, and I will not ignore it any longer." For a moment he said nothing. Then in a low, almost menacing tone he said, "You don't understand. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's just a mistake. The test is wrong. I can fix it." I felt a surge of anger, but I held it back. My strength came not from shouting or lashing out, but from calm, measured words that cut sharper than any scream. "Ryan, the test is not wrong. The results are clear. You can't fix the truth. You can't manipulate it. And I'm done letting you control me or question my honesty." His face twisted with a mix of disbelief and fury. How could this happen? How could you betray me?" he spat, though his voice wavered. I took a deep breath, keeping my eyes locked on his. "I didn't betray you, Ryan. You betrayed me. With your suspicion," a mix of sadness and strength flooding me. "No, Ryan. This is not my fault. The DNA test revealed the truth. That's all. You demanded it because of your control, your paranoia, your need to dominate. And now your arrogance has collapsed under the weight of reality." His face darkened, but I noticed something new: fear. Real fear. Not just of embarrassment, but of losing the grip he thought he had on me, on our life, and on the image of himself he had carefully curated. And that fear empowered me even more. I moved closer, my voice calm but firm, each word deliberate. "Ryan, I will not stay in a relationship built on lies and control. I will not allow you to intimidate me or make me doubt myself. You wanted the truth? You got it. And it has exposed you for who you really are. The baby is innocent. I will protect them. And I will protect myself." He looked at me, a mixture of disbelief, anger, and helplessness flickering across his features. For the first time, I realized just how little control he truly had. The man who had seemed invincible, who had dominated every argument, every conversation, every decision, was crumbling. And I was standing tall, clear-eyed, and unafraid. At that moment my phone buzzed, Sonia checking in just as she had all along. I glanced at the message, a simple, reassuring line. "You're strong, Alina. You can do this." That little nudge of support reminded me that I wasn't alone, that I had allies, and that the truth was my shield. Ryan slumped into the couch, defeated, running a hand through his hair. I never thought," he began, but no words could undo the damage, no excuses could erase the reality. I leaned down slightly, my gaze steady. "You demanded the DNA test, Ryan, thinking you could confirm your suspicions. You thought you could control the narrative, manipulate the outcome, and protect your ego. But the truth doesn't care about your ego. The truth doesn't bend. And now, you will face the consequences of your own making." The room was heavy with silence. For once he had no words, no defenses, no charm. I realized then that the man I had known, the one I had loved, no longer existed in the way I had believed. What remained was someone small, fragile, and exposed, someone undone by his own arrogance and control. I stepped back, feeling the rush of empowerment wash over me. This confrontation wasn't just about the DNA test. It was about reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my child's future. And for the first time in months, I felt free. Free from his suspicion, free from his manipulation, and free to face whatever came next with clarity and strength, because Ryan had demanded the truth. And in confronting him, I realized that it wasn't just the baby who was protected by the DNA test, it was me. And that protection, that empowerment, was mine to claim forever. After confronting Ryan, the house felt different, lighter, freer, as if the walls themselves had been holding their breath and finally exhaled. I realized that this wasn't just the end of a chapter. It was the beginning of a new life. One built on truth, self-respect, and the protection of the most important life in my world, my baby. Ryan tried to maintain control in the days following, but it was futile. Friends and family began to notice the cracks, the change in him, and slowly, the mask he had worn for so long fell away completely. His arrogance, his jealousy, his obsession with dominance, all exposed by a simple truth he never thought would touch him. People who had admired him began to distance themselves, sensing the toxicity he could no longer hide. As for me, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I decorated the nursery in peace, embraced the little kicks and flutters that reminded me of life, hope, and new beginnings. I surrounded myself with people who truly cared. Sonia, my family, my closest friends, and allowed myself to heal, not with bitterness but with strength. I didn't need revenge in the dramatic sense. The DNA test itself, the revelation, and Ryan's unraveling were enough. Truth had already served justice. And in seeing him diminished by his own obsession and lies, I felt a quiet satisfaction, a recognition that life has a way of balancing itself. The experience left me stronger than I had ever been. I had learned that love without trust is fragile, that control disguised as care is poison, and that truth, no matter how painful, is the ultimate liberator. As I held my baby in my arms months later, rocking them gently to sleep, I whispered softly, "We are safe now. We are free." And I meant it not just for them but for myself. Ryan had demanded the truth, believing it would give him power. But the truth in its purest form had given me the power to see clearly, to protect, and to move forward with my life unshackled. And that, I realized, was the real ending. A life reclaimed, a heart strengthened, and a future untouched by lies. The storm had passed, and I had emerged whole, strong, free.